Texas.
Woo!
I'm so glad to get a Texan on the show. Besides me,
Always are.
it feels so good. We got Darren in the studio for 2 segments. Not for all the segments, just for 2.
I'm not the Texan.
2 out of the 3.
No, we're talking about.
You're a prune picker from California.
He's going to leave when the other Texan comes in.
And then we got DNA coming on.
Yeah.
Darren and Andrew. Andrew
right.
is here.
You're going to go
We're going to switch. I'm going to go over there. Andrew's going to come here.
Yeah,
I'm warming the seat up for him.
This show's crazy. It's all over the place.
This has been, yes.
Welcome to Cross Politics on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Good to be with you guys. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox. I'm the Water Boy, and Darren Doane.
Hashtag Doane It.
Creative Agency. Hashtag Doane It.
Repping the Samaritan Ministries.
Oh,
Yep.
all
That's our
day. I'm
people.
in my 11th or 12th year. That's how we roll.
Yep, doing it.
That's great.
And doning it.
And Doane It.
And we can't wait to get. We actually leave this Sunday while the show's airing. We leave. We're going to be in the air.
Yeah.
It's going to be airing. We're going to be in the air on the way to Nashville.
You guys do that.
See how you did that?
Yeah, was that good?
You guys do that. Like, first year was like you went out 2 days before. Then the second one it was like 4 days before. And now you guys got like 18 days before.
Yeah. This was turning into putting in that work.
Yeah.
Next one, like, we're leaving 6 months before. It's a whole process.
No, we're not doing that.
My wife ain't tolerating that one.
This show's brought to you by Dime Payments. Dime Payments is a Christian-owned processing payment business. Every business needs a payment process system. Go to dimepayments.com/FLF.
Can someone tell me more
Sign
about
your
them?
business up.
What is this?
Well,
This is instead of Stripe and like PayPal.
Yeah.
Dime Payments.
and
Christian
they
Brothers.
won't cancel you.
They won't cancel you.
Like Stripe canceled President Trump, or like MailChimp canceled the Babylon Bee.
Or like, was it PayPal canceled Uncle Gary?
Uncle Gary.
Uncle
Right.
Gary. Yeah, once you touch Uncle Gary.
Woo!
Godfather
Hey,
Gary.
You don't touch Unc. You know what I'm saying?
So go to dimepayments.com/FLF. At least have a phone call with them and call them up and see if they can help
Hey,
you.
are
with
they
your
going to
company.
be at the conference?
Yes, they are.
So,
Yeah,
hey,
Dime
we'll
Payments.
I wanna
introduce you
meet them.
guys.
Yeah, I'm excited
No,
to
you
meet
need
this.
to meet them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, look for Darren at the conference.
And if you mention us, you actually get a discount on your payment process.
Going to drop a dime on Dime.
There we go.
There you go. A quarter a dime or $1 million on dime. Something like that. As you guys been following the whole Texas heartbeat bill,
Yes.
right? You've been following that. We're actually going to talk more about this. We got a guy coming on later in the
Michael
show
Sullivan.
from Texas, Michael Sullivan, coming on later to talk a little more about this. But the fallout has been pretty epic.
Well, the
yeah.
big deal was that the Supreme Court declined to do an emergency
That's right.
injunction that would
Right.
like put a stay or a hold on it. So there's this appeal, put an emergency stay because it was supposed to it went into effect on September 1st on Wednesday, and the Supreme Court by bare majority 5-4 declined.
Yeah.
To step in.
Was that a technicality, though, too? Wasn't some paperwork stuff that didn't get filed properly, or the representation of it?
The bill is actually brilliant.
Really? Do
It's-
abolitionists know this?
Well,
Because they might.
Well, Blaine Canzati was on our show a few weeks ago. He
Yes.
works for Idaho Family
Policy Institute.
Alliance, something like that. And but he mentioned this about Lubbock, Texas. I think was the first city to run this. Right? Was it Lubbock?
That's right, Lubbock, Texas.
And you're just over there grinning, just
Home
grinning
of Texas
about
Tech,
this
Red
Texas
Raiders.
stuff.
It's our Red River.
Texas.
It's our Red River.
And they ran this play where they I think they outlawed, or it was a heartbeat bill in Lubbock, or they just outlawed it, and said, but what they did was unique is they said that no city official, and in this case now no government official can enforce this law. It's prohibited in the bill.
Right.
It can only be enforced by private citizens.
So citizens suing citizens. Hey, you got abortion, I'm going to sue you.
Yeah, and it's a civil suit, and it's kind of brilliant because
you'll go after the institutions, not the people.
Well, because
you go after people, too.
Well, the courts then ordinarily
The taxi cab driver that drove the lady there.
Yep.
The doctor.
family member.
I mean, you can go after
doctors,
everybody.
nurses.
Anybody who's accomplice
You
a part of
You
it.
can sue anybody for damages.
10,000 each.
And the minimum is 10,000.
Yep.
Minimum. Go up beyond that, but at least 10,000. And so, but when they bring that to the Supreme Court says, "Who are we going to injunct?"
Right.
I don't know if that's a verb. I just totally.
No, it is now.
It is for me.
Injuncted did.
It is for me. Dave, don't help.
So they're like, there's nobody doing anything. The state's not doing anything to anyone, and in fact, the law prohibits them from doing anything. And then they said the only one left is a private citizen who is actually suing someone, and they could only get one private citizen on record at all. And he said, "I'm not planning on suing anyone." And that's
at least yet.
That's what the
So the Supreme Court couldn't enforce anything, so they just pick it up.
What are we going to stop?
It's sort of like how you're now in the world today. We're all scared that someone might just walk on your property and like slip and fall, right?
Yep,
and the fear is like they could sue me.
Exactly.
And because we have cases, right? And so we're all scared of that. So if that were to happen.
Yes. It's exactly right. And it's interesting. We're going to talk about this in the second segment with Michael Sullivan. But it really is kind of like this taking the litigiousness of our society and turning it it's
on
like
the pro-choice,
it's like
on the
all
abortion.
the restaurants have to have warnings all over their coffee cups because of somebody that burned themselves 20 years ago and got sued.
This just is not going to end well, though.
Well,
I definitely have concerns about how this can be turned on Christians.
For sure. Although, if you ever saw the picture of the woman that got burned, you might sue too.
I would have. But you know what though?
Her leg was
there was
gone.
there was a real malfunction there.
Yes,
there was a real problem there, and everybody's like, "Oh, the coffee was no. You don't understand. It was to the point that it destroyed her skin. They should have repaired what they broke with her.
Right, and I'm pretty sure abortion's worse. So this is good.
So, right,
that's right.
Well, and that's the thing is, I mean, so there can be real harm, and there's real solutions to real harm, and then there's taking the over litigiousness of our society and everybody trying to make a buck off somebody.
Right.
That's a problem too.
But the liberals are running around with their hair on fire.
Oh, literally.
On this. And the Biden administration, some of the things that they're talking about. Listen to this.
You know, years ago, Dwight Eisenhower sent troops to Little Rock, Arkansas to deal with civil rights concerns. Kennedy sent U.S. Marshals to help people get to universities that weren't yet integrated. Why not send troops or U.S. Marshals to help women if they're trying to seek an abortion or to, transport them out of the state? Unclear if that's even on the table as something that could be considered, but certainly they're going to do it. And
bring troops into Texas and escort them to get an abortion. But the nice thing is you can sue each troop.
Wait a second.
Bring them.
Bring them all. Bring them all.
10,
all 1,000, 10,
20, 30, 40, 50.
But have I misunderstood the story? So the reason, even though I disagree with actually there's a lot more to the story than the way he's talking about it, but let's just say I agree with what he's saying. Because actually what was going on was it was a federal government doesn't have the responsibility to operate in our state. And so we have a conflict here, but whatever the conflict is, they're not the heroes. And so the troops were put there to deal with the federal government. So anyway, that's a whole nother, but if I remember correctly though, in this story, wasn't it black people who weren't considered humans and life wasn't considered valuable?
Right.
Weren't they the ones trying to figure out how to be treated like everybody else?
Yep. And that's why the federal troops were there on campus.
In his narrative of this, the federal troops were there to make sure that they were treated like other humans.
That's right.
Right? So if I'm thinking about this properly, he's got the story backwards. The troop should be there to make sure that the baby in the womb
needs to be treated like a human.
Should be treated like a human being, and that the rights of the Constitution, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, is applied to the infant.
Right.
And this is what happens when people just start mouthing off stuff, and we don't know the true story, first of all. But even in his story, it's backwards.
Right.
The person who's the victim in here isn't the woman. That's not who needs protection.
But they've been like freaking out. Now, I'm hearing reports. I mentioned this on Friday on my news brief, and I've gotten some feedback, and I'm hearing reports from a bunch of people saying, well, a lot of the abortion clinics are like actually still up and running, and they're doing stuff. And as I'm hearing mixed reports, some of them are saying they've canceled appointments and they're not seeing people or sending people away.
Our interview also will clarify some of this.
But so I'm hearing mixed reports.
It is mixed.
But there was a bunch of abortion clinics like open to like midnight on Tuesday. And there were abortion doctors posting online saying, I did, 15 or 20 or 30 extra abortions this evening up until the deadline at midnight just to get them in.
There have been some doctors who are not doing any murders. I want to make sure I make that clear.
Right.
And have limited because they are concerned that
they'll get sued.
So there's some making that argument or saying that, and there were people on Twitter yesterday saying, or on Thursday saying that there was, where this one lady said, where were you today? Because that's when Roe versus Wade ended. Like that's the kind of rhetoric they're using.
The leftists are.
And it's like,
that was the front of Drudge.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Was like in red, like Roe v. Wade's over, or Roe v. over. It was like, that was like, oh, this must be serious now.
But
Like
let's not-
someone did something.
Let's not act like that liberals don't overreact. That's all they do.
That's true.
That's all they do. And we know that.
That's the irony of what this guy just said, because however many years later, now it's the liberals who are just doing the opposite. They're just segregating.
Oh, that's right.
Like now?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, that's all they do now is segregate.
Yeah, we need to have our space for our little group. Right.
Well, and also don't forget how the civil rights movement continually is getting co-opted.
Right.
Because and it's a problem because we allowed the civil rights movement to be a government thing in the first place,
right.
A government solution
right.
in the first place, and now they're using the civil rights movement for the transgender community,
right.
And now they're using the civil rights movement for the
the
murder community,
and for COVID.
But
they're running the same play.
Well, these are all problems that, and Doug Wilson has been the only person that I know who has been all over this so clearly. And I'm sorry, but I saw this on Twitter, and I think it's so true. If you're not following him and paying attention to what he's talking about right now, you're an idiot.
Pastor Doug.
I'm going to tell you right now, you're an idiot. He's got his hand.
Darren, you better start following.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm serious.
Double check that one.
And I want to say, and a lot of people act like they don't want to be connected to him. Do you know what story you're in right now?
Yeah.
Right.
Do you know the situation that we're dealing with? And you're worried about, well, how people going to feel about me if I follow Doug Wilson and quote his stuff. Shut up.
Right.
Yeah.
Grow a backbone. You know, and okay, let me just, that wasn't my point. But it makes me,
Who's this guy again?
Hey, it just drives me nuts. Knox hadn't had all his stuff. I need to have some alcohol, calm me down a little bit.
No.
So here's the deal.
By alcohol, he means Dayquil.
Yeah, that's right. That's
NRB.
right. Yeah, that's what it was.
Just there's a little bit in there.
Here's the deal.
Medicinal alcohol.
We got into this particular problem when we did not handle, at the beginning of the nation, we didn't deal with slavery right. Mm-hmm. This is actually, and Doug has been on this from the beginning. From jump, and people are missing it. Yep. When we ratified the Constitution and when we decided to declare our freedom and our liberty, we had a massive
contradiction,
inconsistency with how we were treating other people.
All men are created equal, and we have slavery.
Made in the image of God. Yep. And somebody who pointed that out, I got to bring this. This is Frederick Doug. This is my.
He's not the peanut guy.
Watch your mouth. I just want to show Baraka. Thank you so much, and thank your wife for making this for me. This thing is amazing.
Show.
Wow.
Amazing.
Oh wow.
So
nice show.
Thank you so much for that. But here's the and so he picked that up.
Does she do commissions if I wanted one of me like that?
You know what? She does actually. She's amazing.
One of you like that?
And then gift that to people. Here's me.
Here's me.
What's the Frederick Douglass do?
Afro.
Hey, since you're my mentor, I'll take one of those, D. But here's the deal. So what happened when we didn't do that? We created, and we've talked about this on the show, but I was just looking at Roe v. Wade again, and I was just looking at the Civil Rights Act, all these things. They're all connected to what happened in the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment. We didn't write people who were made in the image of God, who were in the nation, into citizenship in America, nor humanity for the most part. And when we had to ratify the Constitution with the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment, what we did was open up loopholes for the federal government now to walk itself into the states and force them to do things that they should not 100%. Be doing, and they didn't have responsibilities to do.
Right.
And we had to do that because of the mistake we made back here and that we really should have repented better of. So now what does Roe v. Wade come along and do? Pay attention. We have the Civil Rights Movement in 64. In 74, what do we have? Roe v. Wade, right? 73. Roe v. Wade. What is Roe v. Wade pointing to?
Civil rights.
14th Amendment. They are anchoring all the liberties for a woman to go kill her infant child in the womb based in the 14th Amendment. And they forced it on all the states.
Right.
And so what we're dealing with is far bigger than just one issue. This is multifaceted. So,
but
go ahead. What are you going to say, Pastor?
No, I'm going to ask you a question, Pastor. And I don't know the answer to this. This just came. I'm curious what you're going to say. When people come to Christ, in your experience, do they go soft at first, or do they go hard at first in regards to their sins?
Oh, hard.
Okay.
I think when they first come to Christ.
Right?
Yeah.
And then why do they start going soft? Would you say?
Many I think sometimes they start going soft because they just get tired.
Right.
They get tired of the struggle, tired of the fight, tired of running
because we had a nation that up until that point in history, slavery was the norm. And I think this is so hard
in the world.
In the world.
In the world, yeah.
I have a hard time wrapping my head around this, right?
Not anymore with abortion.
Well, and I think that's where this gets interesting is the history of the world is a history of slavery.
Yeah. Yep.
And then it ends in America.
Yeah.
Right. And then starts to work backwards
I say the West,
into the rest of the world, right? But it took all of that time to get to America. Now you think that would have been the narrative. Wow, it ends
right
here, right? But that wasn't the narrative. And then by the time you get from slavery to abortion, Christians seem to have gotten soft somehow in regards to how they read the world and what was happening. And they saw this as a really nice thing that people could have freedom to do what they wanted with their body.
Well, and Christians participate in abortion.
Right. Right, sure.
And this is what I don't think, a form of slavery ended.
Correct.
But the fruit of slavery got worse.
Right.
Yeah.
To the point now that we've
100%.
killed more black people in 50 years than slavery could have a hope to do.
200 years in America.
Right.
I was just talking to a business owner this morning, and something that he kind of touched on was, he said, it's hard to grow your business because you're not really growing your business. You're actually trying to convince people how you can take care of them in every aspect of their life. He says, which seems like slavery. Like, I have a position that needs to be filled, and what the person is asking me is, I can show up here, I can do this thing, but if I break my leg skiing, you're paying for that, right? And he's like, well, I mean, I guess maybe there'd be an advantage if I did. That's good for me. He's like, no, and my whole family. Okay, well. Yeah. And he said, it's getting really weird. Right? Like, or I was saying, that is just really weird because you're not looking for someone anymore to make something. You're
just your plumber.
Right. No. How do I take care of you and your family forever?
Right. Yeah, everybody's looking for a good pharaoh.
And Google, all the big tech, big corporations are doing this.
And this is
stuff.
back to your point about Doug, is the thing that he gets a bad rap for, but is his whole point, the thing that gets him in trouble, I think, is mostly him saying we shouldn't have killed over 500,000 men to end slavery.
Right.
The Civil War was a mistake.
Right.
And it was judgment. And God brought it and everything.
Sure.
But part, like, how do we get from there to here?
We don't solve problems. We don't solve civil issues by saying, can we kill 750 million people to win?
Right. No. Yeah. Right. No. It doesn't work.
Which is exactly what the left is saying right now when it comes to abortion.
Yeah. But it's a bloodletting. Oh. And this is deep in our DNA, the need for blood.
Right.
Because of guilt. Because we're guilty, there needs to be blood. But the problem is the reason why sacrifices have always kind of worked is because there's blood.
Right.
Now, it doesn't take away sin,
right,
but it makes you sort of, you have this cathartic experience, and you sort of, you feel like somebody paid for my sins.
Right. Yeah. And I've said this on the show because I think I am the most, I didn't realize I've been on probably the most. Yeah. I'm the most had guest. But from Gerard, from you, Gerard, talking about the need for a scapegoat.
Atonement.
And so I was looking at all these different things saying, okay, I thought the Me Too movement, Harvey Weinstein, Trump, all these things, they're going to get, someone has to die. And then there was George Floyd. That's not good. Yeah. He died, but no, we need the cop to die. I kept thinking, okay. And then he gets sentenced. I thought maybe that was going to relieve the sort of pressure. And then the COVID hits, and now it's like, this is getting weird. Now it's the mask, the unmasked, now it's the vaccine. And now I still don't believe, based on Gerard, the left or the culture, however we want to say we're all participating or not, we have yet to still get the scapegoat, and that scares me.
But here's the thing, though, is I think part of the brilliance of Gerard in this one key respect is that after the coming of Jesus, it doesn't work anymore.
Right.
I think the coming of Christ has fundamentally changed the world in the old ways.
Right.
Because when God allowed the Old Testament, the Old Covenant people have sacrifices, sacrifice kind of worked. Right. Even when they were sacrificing to false gods and so on, and there was violence and rape and pillage and slavery and all these things, but it could kind of hold it together. After Jesus, it doesn't work.
Right.
There's no more bloody sacrifice.
Right.
But there's still this deep instinct in us for blood.
Yeah.
But do you feel that they're still looking? They're
Absolutely.
trying to get something.
Which is actually why I think the post-millennialist in me. It doesn't mean everything has to go well. We might be heading into a dark age. I don't know. But the gospel preacher in me is thinking, you know what though? The hungrier,
the longer it goes,
the hungrier they get for blood.
Right.
Yes.
Now it can go bad.
Right.
And some of us might get killed, but all it takes is the preaching of a bloody cross.
That's
Right.
And they're starving for that.
Right.
They're starving for that. And
They don't know it.
because we
but
agree,
that's-
you do need blood.
You need blood.
We're with you.
But it happened 2,000 years ago,
Right.
and it paid for all your sins.
Amen.
But what happens is when you don't take the substitute that God has provided in His Son Jesus, then you're always looking for other bloody sacrifices. It happened in the Civil War. It happened in Jim Crow.
That's
it
right.
happened
That's
in
right.
the way we've treated our unborn. It's happened in the way husbands have treated their wives.
That's
It's
right.
happened in the COVID moment. It's happening now. All of this,
Right.
and it's waves and waves of this nausea.
Right.
And you think the thing you need is this? Somebody's got to pay for it.
This release, yeah.
And it creates this this mob mentality, and everybody is out for the scapegoat.
Right.
And it's way God made the world.
Yes.
So that when Jesus is lifted up on a cross, the world is drawn to Him.
Yeah, it's funny that
Amen,
in a lot
Tony.
of the ways, there's undignified way to do it, and there's dignified ways to do it, right? So right now, abortion is one of the undignified ways. There's other ways to do it, and some of the other things we see happen in society. But also, that's what sports are trying to do as well.
Sure. Oh
Right?
yeah.
They're the huge worship centers that people come to
Yeah.
for that climax to go somewhere, for that explosion to happen.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yep. It's the Coliseum again. But it doesn't
But
work.
even that's getting watered down
It
now,
is.
right?
It
Like you
is.
can't. I'm pretty sure the NFL last week said you can't tackle anymore.
Right.
Which I think, to be
Flag
honest with
football
you,
now. Flag
I think
football.
that's going to have an impact.
And no,
Meanwhile, you got guys like Kanye.
Right.
we can't even go there.
We might
We're
have
talking
to do-
about how it's all Gerard, but what we really mean is all in Book of Hebrews. That's what that
It
is.
We
all
might
in
have to
Hebrews.
do a
Donda,
cross
Donda.
politic after the show about Kanye.
Donda.
But right now, Michael Sullivan coming up next, talking about Texas, Gabe's favorite subject, next on Cross Politic.
Cancel culture is real. Cross Politic is on the front lines of this battle with the goal of creating a Christian television network and platform where we can't be canceled and where content creators will have the freedom to glorify God. Our goal is to create a space for like-minded businesses to thrive on this platform and to reach an audience that will not only buy your products and services, but also support your business when the heat of cancel culture comes your way. We want our platform to help you create an anti-fragile business as we bring together Christians from all over the world to tune in. With millions of downloads a year, access to DirecTV, Xfinity, and social media outlets, we are excited to partner with you. So, if you own a business and believe in this vision, then you need to call me. I'm Garrison Hardy, and I am the Business Development Rep at Cross Politic and the Fight Laugh Feast Network. We are looking for businesses, large or small, that not only have great products and services, but also understand that the cultural battle that is impacting the business climate here and now. I have a background in marketing, and I'd love to help you advertise your business on Cross Politic. Give me a call at 208-792-1290 or email me at garrison@fightlaughfeast.com.
My name is Jamie Piles. I joined Samaritan in December of 1996, so I'm coming up on 24 years. When people ask me, does it really work? I say, oh, it works fantastic. I send my money to somebody every month. But we had a need. My wife spent a little bit of time in the hospital about 3 months ago, and so I had a checklist with about 39 names on it, and 39 checks came in. Some of the cards, some of the things people had to say, it was amazing to watch.
We got a buddy from Texas
He doesn't.
on the show.
I don't think he understands, Gabe.
No.
If he does, I'm scared.
A Texan always understands what another Texan is thinking.
When he says "Hayah."
Yep.
Welcome back to Cross Politic
We're
on
in
the Fight
trouble.
Laugh Feast Network. This segment is brought to you by one of our all longtime sponsors, Classical Conversations.
Yes.
Classical Conversations supports homeschooling parents by cultivating the love of learning through a Christian worldview in fellowship with other families. We provide a classical, Christ-centered curriculum, local like-minded communities across the United States and in several countries around the world. They train parents who are striving to be great classical educators in the home. And for more information and to get connected to a community near you, go to their website, classicalconversations.com.
That's great.
Hey, with us today, really grateful, have a graduate of Texas A&M.
Go Aggies.
All right.
Former newspaper reporter, one-time Capitol Hill staffer, think tank vice president, Eagle Scout, Michael Quinn Sullivan. Wow, that's great.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
He's the publisher of TexasScorecard.com. Has his own podcast, Reflections on Life and Liberty, can be found on Twitter at MQ Sullivan and on Facebook, facebook.com/MQ Sullivan. Mike, thanks for joining us on Cross Politic.
Hey, great to be with you. It's always dangerous when you start talking about being on Twitter and Facebook because, 10 minutes ago I was. I don't know if I still am or not.
Right.
That's
Well,
right.
after this show, we'll make sure you won't be there anymore.
So Michael,
Awesome.
Michael, how do you drive an Aggie crazy?
There are so many ways. I'm anxious to hear this one. Most of us don't have enough common sense to be driven crazy. That is a real benefit of being an actor. We can't be driven crazy because you're already there, man.
Well, from my experience, you put them in a round room and tell them to go pee in the corner.
Okay.
They did that to me once, and it was like 3 days before I could go to the
Message.
Oh, man. Oh, well, that's quite the interview right there.
That, yeah.
Hey, Mike, tell us, what is Texas?
Is that a wrap?
Is that a wrap? Pretty much. What is Texas Scorecard all about?
Yeah, so we focus on trying to help citizens understand what's happening in state and local government. So often we as Christians, we as conservatives, we as citizens, we can speak eloquently about the machinations of the prime minister of some country in some other hemisphere, and yet we don't know what's going on in our school board. We don't understand the power that the legislature, city council has over us. And so Texas Scorecard exists to help citizens keep score, to understand who is and isn't working on their behalf. We want to see self-governance expanded in our country, to see more citizens having control over our republic.
So, it's interesting. The last election has opened my eyes to kind of what's going on in Texas. Is Texas going purple?
We in Texas have done a very good job over the last 20 plus years of convincing all of you nice people that we are far more conservative as a state than we actually are. We've been purple for a long time. We look good because we compare ourselves to California and Illinois.
Yeah.
Frankly, it's a lot like the guy who brags about being the least drunk person in the bar. He may be able to identify his own truck in the parking lot, but he's not a model of sobriety.
Whoa.
California is drooling. California is drooling in the corner, right?
Yeah.
And so we like to say in Texas, oh, look how great we are. We're not California. That's the wrong measuring stick, And I would suggest we as Texans have not lived up to our own hype inside the state like we try to push outside the state.
I mean, but does the Texas Scorecard really work and hold legislators accountable? And I mean, is informing people really helping? It doesn't seem like it is.
It is beginning to help people. I think that we make this mistake, I think, a lot, where we confuse where we are with where we're going and where we've been. The old saying of the journey of 1,000 miles starts with 2 steps. Well, the problem is you take 2 steps, you don't notice it. You keep taking all those little insignificant steps, and suddenly you're in a bad place. But after that 1,000 miles, you're a fool if you say, well, how do I get home in 2 steps? We have to be willing to be dedicated to that long, hard journey if we're going to be successful.
What are the we got a bunch of listeners, tuning in, wondering, okay, if I want to replicate what Texas Scorecard is doing in Texas, what are the top 3 things that Texas Scorecard does that's really effective, and where should people start?
Yeah, the single most important thing you can do, and what we try to do, is help citizens connect with each other. visit with each other, keep each other informed. As citizens, all of us are supposed to be involved intimately in our government. We're a citizen of participation, a nation of participation, not of observation. So we need more folks engaged, but we can't all go to every city council meeting. We can't all go to every school board meeting and county meeting, so we need to work together in community. And so the most important thing you as a citizen can do in your own state, in your own community, is make sure that you are the uncomfortable person who walks up to your friends at the dinner party or after church and says, hey, do you know what the city council is doing?
Yeah.
We've all been told to shut up about those things. In fact, we need to be speaking louder about them.
What's going on in Texas right now that is most, I don't know, maybe start with what's most encouraging about what's going on in Texas right now?
Well, what is most encouraging, this is where I have so much hope for where we could be headed. You see Governor Greg Abbott, who hasn't done much as governor for the last 8 years, talks the game, doesn't do much. But because he has 3 strong primary opponents coming up in the Republican primary in 2022, he has been pushing further and further and further on big issues, such as the heartbeat bill that just took effect on September 1st and has the entire left, going apoplectic. The death cult of the Democratic Party is just going insane at babies' lives being saved. And I would suggest the only reason that's moving is because Greg Abbott is worried about being reelected as governor in 2022.
Yeah.
Nothing sharpens the focus of the mind like a noose around the neck, and Greg Abbott is feeling that political noose right now.
Nice.
His mind is focused.
His mind is focused.
It's interesting. Paying attention to the bill and watching what the Supreme Court has said about the bill that seems like it's going to go into.
Well, it's gone into effect.
We'll see how it.
It's enforced or not enforced. Yeah.
But why are liberal women pulling out their beards over this thing?
Yeah, in part because it is rather unique. I've got to give a lot of accolades to our friends at Texas Right to Life and Texas Eagle Forum, who have been the real drivers on this issue in the Lone Star State, where they created a new kind of enforcement regimen, similar to what you see the environmentalists having done in the past, where it's not state and government actors who are holding environmental disasters accountable. It's citizens getting lawsuits. And so in the same way here, it's not the attorney general or district attorneys doing criminal things. It's citizens being able to file civil lawsuits. And that's what has them so crazy is the pro-life community is literally taking a page out of the left's enforcement of, again, environmental regulations and labor laws and other things to now go after the murderous, barbaric procedure of abortion. And they're terrified because either we win and babies' lives are saved, or we lose and they lose their enforcement mechanism in huge swaths of law.
Now, a lot of our abolitionist brothers are saying that this law hasn't really changed anything. Abortions haven't stopped. Practically on the ground, what's going on in relationship to this law?
Well, look, until we outlaw abortion completely, abortions are going to continue. And then, and I think we all have to have our big boy pants on and understand that until we do the big boy things and big girl things of outlawing and banning abortion, you're still going to have abortion. Yeah. What has happened practically in Texas, though, is Planned Parenthood and Whole Women's Clinic and all these other, genocide centers, all of them have now put out their signs saying, we're not doing the same kind of abortions we used to do. You see Planned Parenthood and Whole Women's Clinics around the state, literally turning people away because they're clearly too far along to do an abortion. So there has been in just 2 days lives saved thanks to this law. But our abolitionist friends are absolutely right. We have to get to the point of the state that's willing to say to the Supreme Court, the federal government, not here, not now, no longer. Until we're willing to do that, it's going to continue.
One of the things that the reasons anyway that the Supreme Court says that they didn't intervene or engage with this because they couldn't find anybody who was willing to actually act on the law or use it in sue. So what happens though when someone actually says, that person had an abortion when they shouldn't have, and I'm bringing lawsuit against them, the doctor, and the person that drove them there? Will that change how this whole, because right now it feels like a weird kind of standoff until we find somebody who's willing to sue. So what happens when that actually takes place?
Yeah, so the cause of action is in state court. And so, it's this law is going to have and I'll use the slimy lawyer language for a second that my lawyer friends like to use. It's going to have a chilling effect on abortion for months and years, because under all these weird, crazy legal precedents that sit out there, because this is a state action, the Supreme Court, the federal courts, the state courts before can then be taken up federally, because these are all private. Susie Homemaker going after Billy the Butcher, who works at Planned Parenthood. That law is going to be moving up that way, or that those lawsuits are going to be moving up that way. It's just going to be years probably before you get to the federal courts, which means, again, lots of babies' lives saved.
I'm sorry, could you, we lost your signal just for a second there. Could you just kind of restate that again for me just a little bit?
Yeah, sure. What is exciting with this law is that because it's all private causes of action, because of legal precedents and all those things.
This is the Prince and Power of the airways.
All the cause of action to the state courts. Because laws are all going through the state courts, it's going to be a while before it can hit the federal courts for the Supreme Court to take action.
That's helpful.
Okay.
That's helpful.
So then there's a lot that can happen before the Supreme Court takes place in engaging this, but the Planned Parenthood is concerned because it can actually hinder business in the meantime.
It is hindering business right now today, because all the folks who stand in front of abortion clinics praying, all the folks who are standing outside, maybe taking note of what doctors are walking in, what nurses, what taxi companies are driving up.
Wow.
All those kind of things. Every single one of those people are now liable for a lawsuit.
So this is like, I'm thinking about this. So, I don't know how often this is happening anymore, but like all the lawsuits like against McDonald's for having too hot a coffee.
Yeah.
Right.
Like this is like turning that kind of, I don't know. I mean, I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that trigger happy litigiousness, but it's sort of turning that litigious gun back on the murder of the unborn.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something really exciting about it.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Mike.
In every area of policy, conservatives and Christians all sit and play, by the Duke of Marksbury rules or something. We don't do enough pressing forward in new and novel ways the way the left does.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a good example of being willing to be creative in going and solving a policy issue, again, rather than the tired, let's all wave the white flag of surrender. Let's instead advance. And you may not win every fight you engage in, but you lose every fight you stay out of. And that for far too long, pro-lifers have been staying out of fights because we've been told, oh, you might lose that. Yeah, but we might also win it. And we should be willing to fight fights and be willing to lose, because sometimes you win.
I get the pro-life movement, to me, has, I think, kind of lost its courage. And so, but this is kind of like, I'm pretty excited what's happened in Texas, but I also get I can see the possibility of all these conservatives being like, yay, we finally got this heartbeat bill passed, and the Supreme Court is not taking it up. It's going into effect. And then all of a sudden them start backpedaling because, we actually crossed a line that is really going to raise some hell between them.
We might have to fight.
We might have to fight, right? It's like, we're going to charge the castle. We're charging the castle. Is that do you see that happening in Texas?
You have expressed better than I ever could the fear I have about almost every win we have is that our side is far too willing. on a daily basis to look for any excuse to stay home, any excuse to give up. We've all been conditioned that way. Yeah. We need a lot more boldness. We need a lot more, manliness, courage, and all those kind of words. Words that we say quietly to each other, we actually need to live out. And that's where I think what you guys do, what we try to do, is try to encourage people to be in the fight. None of us are called to be successful. Nowhere in Scripture do I ever see that Michael Quinn Sullivan is supposed to be successful. I see repeatedly that I'm supposed to be faithful. Yeah. All I am supposed to do is be faithful.
Amen.
Christ is successful. God is successful. We're supposed to be faithful. And that we confuse that politically and think, oh, well, gosh, I should only do things to be successful so I can bring glory to Jesus' name. Jesus does not need the glory of me passing House Bill 17 or something. God calls us to be faithful to Him, and sometimes that means losing. Sometimes that means failing. But we should be faithful to Him because that's where victory is.
It's funny. I was talking to a friend last night. We were arguing about this, and every move that he wants to make, or some of my friends want to make, are checkmate moves. Every move from the beginning of the game, the first move should be a checkmate move. But I just know that God's world isn't designed like that. It's not how He's done it.
Sometimes you just got to move the pawn one space.
Right. Yes. Absolutely. And so sometimes freedom looks like going down a river inside of a straw basket.
300 years later, 40 years later, 80 years
exactly.
later. Right.
But I want to ask you, in the game of chess that we're playing right now, as you're talking about being bold, what is the next move outside of this one? Because most people who are cheering this on think this is the move. So some of my friends are right. They think this is the checkmate move. But what is the next move outside of this one that you see we probably need to be moving, Texas needs to be doing next?
Yeah. So, obviously, just talking about on the pro-life, and speaking of pro-life for a second, we now actually need people actually willing to be ready to file those lawsuits, because if time goes by and no lawsuits get filed, suddenly it's that, if it's like my son, if he understands that we're not going to get mad because he's not tucking in his shirt, then he'll not tuck in his shirt after a while, right? And so you always got to make sure that you are making them aware that this could still happen. Outside of abortion, maybe the worst thing that's happening in Texas right now is the coercive transgender movement at children. In Texas, we allow adults to come in, chemically castrate little boys, perform disfiguring genital surgeries on boys and girls to transition them, as well as puberty blockers and psychological coercion. All these things are allowed to happen in Texas right now, and our governor is refusing to address it. The legislature is refusing to address it.
Wow.
And that's something that we can't say that we're a pro-life state if we are harming children like this.
Wow.
Michael, how can people follow you and keep track of what you're doing there in Texas?
Hey, we'd love to have folks check out our website, TexasScorecard.com. We cover all the social stuff we've been talking about, but also tax policy and some of the tort reform issues and things like that. You can also find me on Twitter and Facebook. We'd love to be connecting with folks there.
Hey, Michael, you keep us informed, too. If something comes up that we need to be talking about, brother, we'd love to have you back
Especially
on.
Especially in Idaho.
Hey, we support Texas, too. Thank you for coming on. More you don't want to miss next segment. It's about to get crazy in here. More cross-politic coming up next with Doane. Andrew Crapuchettes, he's back.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations. Our most precious commodity is time. No one has ever lied on their deathbed wishing they had spent more time making money. They all wish they had spent more time creating a legacy. Our modern education system steals that legacy, steals that time from our children. That's why I'm passionate about homeschooling. That's why at Classical Conversations we want to give you more time to create that legacy, follow your passions, and glorify God. Visit classicalconversations.com for more information.
Right there.
DNA. The crap donut content.
There
we go.
Lots of notes.
Do we got questions there?
Ready to go.
No, we're good.
Yep. Nope.
This is great.
You don't need questions with
you guys.
Just call us DNA.
DNA. Whoa.
Bro. Every time we've gotten together, this is good.
That's why it's been so good.
Right.
Welcome back to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast Network.
I was about to say, and we should be professional, but then he started the show. So
Yep.
With us, we got the DNA.
DNA.
Darren and Andrew.
Darren,
Come to this, everybody.
This is Darren Doane back
Yes.
again once more. I'm you know Darren. You all know
I'm
Darren.
here. I love you all.
If you don't
You
know
guys are
Darren, what's wrong with you?
He's on the
people?
Fight Laugh Feast Network.
Yeah, he does.
That's right.
Yeah.
The
Podcast
Doane
for us.
cast is now on there.
Yeah.
I was so excited to get on it finally, and I remember like a week later, I was like, "Hey, Gabe, I just want to, I'm not that into numbers and stuff." I was like, "Can you just kind of tell me like
How's
I'm
it
just
going?"
curious." How's it going? He's like, "We lost all access to numbers when you showed up," and I was like,
No, it's true. Somehow we broke our.
"Yeah,
our
no," and I showed
podcast.
up right
Dana's
when it broke, or I
Yeah.
broke it. I like to think I broke it.
You broke it.
I'll take both
I've been
of
begging
those.
Darren for like 4 years to join our podcast.
I know.
And then Darren like ignores me, and then he calls me. He's
True.
like, "Hey, I want to join your network."
I got a
I'm
good
like,
idea.
Oh,
I got a good
okay,
idea.
okay. So when Darren wants to do it,
It's like telling Darren, sit there.
Let's not do that, please. Come on, man. That's so not nice.
Close to the table. Close to the table.
Bless my heart. I'm just gonna bless
And
myself.
Andrew is back already.
Andrew,
from Red Balloon,
Delightful.
Red
put
Balloon.
in the code FLF 2021. You get a discount. Red Balloon.
Yeah.
It's not com because that's communism. It's
Yeah.
dot work.
Dot work.
Red
work.
Balloon
That's right.
dot work.
Work.
And you guys are doing something? I think,
Yeah, so
you're
I
both going to be at the
yes,
conference.
yes, we
Yes,
are
we
going to
are.
be. We're here to talk about Fight, Laugh, Feast. I want to say Nashville, but I can't say Nashville. It's
Lebanon.
Lebanon. It's not Lebanon.
Yeah, Lebanon.
Lebanon, kind of like Moscow.
Everybody
it's
in
not Moscow.
everybody in Tennessee will come after you.
Okay,
if
great.
You say it wrong.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
So, and I
Okay.
know that being a Moscovite or whatever we say here, that we don't.
Moscovidian?
Right. Yeah. So
No.
we are.
No.
I flaked. I did not look at the schedule. This is on me, and I flaked because every time I'd gone, whatever I did was always on a Friday.
Right.
Right.
But you guys did it really well this year, and you realized make Saturday all the breakouts, right?
Yeah.
Make
SWAT
everyone
talks.
speak.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So I didn't even think about that. I'm coaching my son's football,
Right.
And this year, I was like, I'm never going to miss a game, son. It was just one of those, I'm not going to miss
Yeah.
a game. And the only game I missed last year was at Fight, Laugh, Feast, right? But it just seemed doable last year. I don't know why, but this
Sure.
year was like, son, and I was like,
Stakes are higher though. I mean, I get it. Stakes are a little higher.
You're absolutely right.
For raising families, so I get it.
You're absolutely right, and just where I'm at with my son right now, and it just
Yep.
felt like, man, I can't, and I was like, I should probably look at the Fight Laugh Feast schedule,
Right.
And then I looked and I saw Saturday, and I went, and
Because I had you scheduled for a SWAT talk on Saturday.
Yep. and I felt horrible, and I was like, I got to call Gabe and figure this out, and Gabe was gracious enough to go, well, why don't you do something on Friday? Lunch is open. Host an event.
Okay.
But I was bringing someone. I had someone coming on Saturday. It's going to be a tag team on Saturday.
Right.
Which I can't talk about, but it's going to be really, really cool. And I was like, oh, man. And then this gentleman here, we were talking about, no, he just reached down. This is how cool Andrew is. But I think it also just shows how we all need to be doing things.
Yeah.
I get a text, and he says, can I help you at all with your talk on Saturday? Like, help set up or something. And I was like,
Did you really say that?
I like to work.
Like set up chairs?
Dot work.
Yeah, no, he was literally
I like to work. I like to dot work.
Is there a red balloon in that dot work?
Yeah, I like to dot work.
And I was like, what? Help set up. Like, and I was like, why don't you do? I said, well, I'm not doing it now, but I need to do something different on Friday. Would you like to do it with me? And he just said, if you think I can bring value, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, are you kidding me? And so to have the ability for the Doane Creative Agency and Andrew of Red Balloon, which ties in so perfectly with what I'm all about right now. That is, I was like, yeah, let's do something. And we just got together yesterday, brainstormed it out because Gabe said, how can you bring people a ton of value? And so we're going to do a lunch on Friday.
Okay.
And we'll set the time between like maybe 12 to 1:30 or something. And we're going to take up to 10 people or business owners. Or look, maybe you're not a business owner. Maybe you are an entrepreneur or
They want to start something?
or you're an engineer. Well, or let's say you're an engineer and you're thinking about how do I think of myself with my own skill set
Okay.
to continue my career, because I think everyone is a small business,
Yeah.
right? It's not just if you have a skill set, you're not just. I mean,
And you're
better
always
preach.
selling. You're always selling.
and you're always selling, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it was like, man, if I can sit down with Andrew and if we can do a 90-minute workshop, sit down with people and say, myself and Andrew will look at your business,
Wow.
see what you're doing, insights, thoughts, creative ideas.
Wow.
Let's figure how we get you from here to amazing.
Wait, so how do you get from here to amazing? How do you get signed up for that?
Wait.
Me and you were thinking the same thing, Gabe. Me
How
and you
come
come on
you
now.
have not sat down and done this with us?
You know what?
$1 million.
You know what? This whole lunch just got canceled. The rest is gonna be
That's it.
us three.
That's it.
Sitting down.
That's it.
There's
You
no
knew
more
exactly.
space. There's no more space.
Toby's like, this sounds like fun. Me and Knox are over here like, oh, really? You're going to do this in Lebanon. You're going to go to Tennessee.
We're on your show right now. I think you guys are proving the point, okay? We're coming on your show.
Ain't this about it? You know
You guys
what?
are a big deal.
And yet we can't get you guys to sit down.
They're like, we want to come on your show and announce something.
Right. Yeah.
You have my phone number.
We want to bring people value.
You texted Andrew.
We want to bring people value. So we thought we'd come on your show and announce that.
That's great, man.
Funny about
free.
I appreciate that.
For free.
And here's the deal.
In Lebanon.
In Lebanon.
Part of the reason why I'm a little upset is because I know how valuable this is.
I know.
Because I know the work that you guys have done.
Yeah.
And to be able to have the opportunity to sit down with the two of you and have your business or your... And here's the thing. When you were talking about earlier about each individual is their own business, I don't think people understand that. I've been trying to, for a long time, work through the idea of economics, house law. The value that a family itself brings to the economic world has been forgotten.
Right.
That what their crafts are and their skills are actually valuable to their neighbor. And they should be producing ways to love their neighbors better. Mm-hmm. And so to be able to sit down with you guys and say, okay, here's what we do. Here's what we have. How do I enhance that? And
it's kind of like Hell's Kitchen. Right?
Yeah. In one sense,
yeah.
Like,
You're cooking food. And
without the F-bombs.
Getting criticized right there.
Well, we'll see.
I was going to say, give it a second.
Guarantee everything.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew's kind of a new man. And
So let me
I don't have
ask.
minders anymore. I have a show called The Crap Shoot.
Right, exactly. So
let me ask though. So let's just run this a little bit. A person is bringing you a business. Let's say that they are selling cookies.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
And so what are you going to do with that business as you sit down and investigate it? What are the protocols?
You call these cookies?
No, I mean,
would you give that to your grandma?
yeah, I mean, or they're selling wallets or whatever. What is your way of going about kind of investigating the business? What are some of the questions that you guys are going to be asking and working through?
First thing I would tell someone, and this is why I think this tag team is going to be great. Mm-hmm. First thing I'm going to tell someone if they're selling cookies or they're making wallets is you need to start a podcast today, and you need to call every single person that touches your what's that called, Andrew? Everything comes from your
Addressable market.
Yeah, but I'm just saying
supply lines.
Supply, yeah.
Yes.
Anyone
Supply
touching
chains.
your supply chain, you're going to call them and invite them on your podcast that no one knows about, and you're going to call 100 people because someone's going to say yes.
Right.
And so you begin to build relationships within your own industry by creating something, not cold calling. You're actually calling someone to invite them to be on your podcast. Now you're bringing them value, but you're building the right relationships. That's just a baseline. Everyone needs to be doing that.
And that's the thing. That's the power of DNA.
Yes.
As I like to call us as
Yes.
5 minutes ago.
Right,
Darren and Andrew.
we can print the
branded it.
T-shirts.
DNA. It'd be amazing.
Because layer on that.
Right, because it's all about sales, but also let's look at the addressable market. Let's look at the supply chain. How do we understand more about your business so we can scale it? What are the limitations to scale? How do you think about hiring? How do you think about taxes, right? That's where I'm going to be able to work with Darren, and we're going to hopefully bring some real value to some folks.
Wow. Because Darren doesn't do anything with taxes. He's just...
I was just telling someone the other day that I literally wait. I'm usually 2 years behind on all my taxes. And I usually wait for a trip that's like a 5-hour flight, and I grab my checkbook, and I get on the flight, and I get a piece of paper, and I go through my checkbook. I have 10 categories. And I literally, because it helps me actually assess the business. Andrew's cracking up on this.
This is killing me.
It actually helps.
I am dying inside right now.
This is a true story. And I just go through every check in my checkbook, and or all my credit
Once
card
every 2
statements.
years.
Yeah, and I just but it gets no. I'm 2 years. It's every year. I'm just 2 years behind, and
I'm dying inside.
Are you okay over there, Andrew?
And then I just go right. So Point being is you don't want to do this. You don't want to do this.
Every D needs an A.
Right.
Every day needs an A.
So,
DNA, that's it.
My point was going to be there's a great feeling when you get done doing taxes.
Yep. Especially if you do them on time every year.
By the way, I saw Andrew one morning. It's a true story. I've never said this to you before. I saw you one morning.
Here we go.
I actually had a meeting with Andrew the day after he did taxes one day, one year.
Yeah.
Hey, look at his face. And it was a different. I had never seen, because look at Andrew's face right now. I literally was like, wait, Andrew's kind of a boss. Like, he's not going to be, and he was just like, I was like, wow, that must have hurt. Whatever happened,
writing
that must
very
have hurt.
large checks
to the government,
right?
For them to do stupid things with is very, very painful.
With somebody who's not in industry or not in business yet or doesn't have a company, opportunities don't look like they're vast right now.
Right.
And with that person, is that one of the people who should come who doesn't have a company?
Well, I don't know if we're going to talk about what Toby and I are going to do on Friday,
Because
but that actually is a nice tie-in.
Exactly, because Darren, he's got to get home for football.
Yep.
Speaking of which, both Andrew and Darren are football coaches.
We are.
Coincidence?
Right.
I think not.
No.
Yep.
But he's got to fly home, be there for his son's game.
Yep.
And
so you're taking over his SWAT talk.
So the guys were like, what are we going to do? I'm like, I'll do something, because you guys are doing SWAT talks. I wasn't doing one.
Right.
I was actually just going to enjoy my Saturday.
Here, relax and have lunch.
Right. And but anyways, I said I'll grab it. I thought of Andrew, not even knowing any of his backstory.
Yeah. Right. It's almost like we coordinated it.
It was like there was a higher power at work.
Almost.
And so I grabbed Andrew a few days ago and said, hey, why don't we do something on, I don't know, business or something? I'll be
CEO. Is it a CEO something? Is there a name for it?
No, we're thinking about the theme of creation and creators, that we're made in the image of the creator, and so we're all makers, we're all creators.
That's why we want to start a business. So I want to talk through, like, how do you start a business? How do you think about it? Because a job started is a job half done, right? And it's always this overwhelming, like starting a business, LLCs, S corps, like what in the world, all those things, right? But the reality is there's so much opportunity for work out there right now that but you got to grab it, and a lot of that looks like starting a business. And so how do we talk about not only the mechanism of starting a business, but also the theology of starting a business, right? Because we're just mini creators following our great creator. That's why we want to create things. That's why we want to make things. And so let's talk about how to start a business and how to make it happen.
So we're the brand new SWAT Talk that didn't make it into the schedule, but we're happening.
Which sounds way more valuable,
So
to be honest. I'm excited I can sacrifice that.
So we got this kind of entry level things that we have going on as well at the conference, and you guys are dealing with people who are in business. But what about people who are at the top or high scale? So let's say you work with big brands. You've been a big brand. Like, what are some of the things that businesses at the top don't do very well? And one of the reasons they need to come and listen to you guys at the luncheon.
Well, I'm going to hit something for Darren here, because the reality is that we're in one of the tightest labor markets ever.
There you go.
And people cannot find talent. I was talking to a construction guy yesterday. He is offering $28.50 an hour for entry-level, no-skill jobs.
Oh, my
And
goodness.
cannot get anyone.
Can't find anybody.
Cannot get anyone.
Did you say entry level?
He's like, if you had a little experience, it'd be nice, but whatever, like $28.50
Will they hire someone from Cross Politics?
Why are you looking at me?
So anyway, the point is, you need to, as an employer, you need to have a brand for your employees you already have, because they're getting recruited by everybody.
Have a brand. What do you mean by that?
You need to have an employment brand, because if your only lever for keeping people is money, you're going to be outbid.
That's right.
Right. And then you find yourself in that weird situation. If you sell stuff for a living, are you just the cheapest? Right. It works both ways, right? Like, okay, well, we make coffee mugs. Well, what about it? Well, we're cheaper. Yeah. If you're always cheaper, you're going to get
China will beat you.
Yes. Right. And the same with hiring. It works the same way. Right. It's if you're just offering money and everyone can offer money, then you're
going to get outbid.
But the reason why this is important is because companies for the longest time have tried to remain neutral. In the business world. And they don't create a culture for their employees. It's like, just lean into your Christian faith. We're a Christian company. This is just who we are. Yeah. Of course, we hire non-Christians, but this is just who we are as a company. You're going to be more likely to retain good talent because you're building an actual culture that people can kind of hang on to at that company.
So when you say branding, though, you're talking about loyalty.
Loyalty.
You're talking about
absolutely.
personal relationships. This goes back to your point about starting the podcast. Know the people, talk to them.
Branding is reputation. I would always encourage people. There's a lot of ways in which people define this stuff, even marketing and advertising, all that. When I say branding, I mean reputation. The Bible is pretty clear how much reputation is worth. It's worth more than everything.
Gold.
Yeah.
So that. And you're like, well, I don't have a reputation. I'm just starting my business. Well, then you're going to communicate your business from day one because that's how you build your reputation. Because on day 2, you got a reputation.
And reputation is built out of personal relationships
Yes.
and loyalty.
Yes.
Yeah, and you need to be intentional about it, right?
Right.
It doesn't just happen. Well, it does just happen, but
Yeah.
you have a bad one.
Something's going to happen.
Right.
Something's going to
It's
happen.
like we're all dads. We're either good dads or bad
Right.
dads.
That's
But we're
right.
dads
Exactly.
no matter what.
Exactly. Right.
And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to say, hey, we're capping this at 10. If you're a business owner, if you're a creator, if you're an entrepreneur, we got 10 spots available.
Seriously, how do I get on the spots?
No,
You're gonna. Well, we didn't think about that. For some reason, I thought there was going to be maybe. So it's going to be me. So email me if you want one of those spots. DarrenDoane@gmail.com. That's DarrenDoane @gmail.com. Email me. I will look at it. If you seem super, super weird and sketchy, I'm not emailing you back.
Gabe, you're not going.
So we're out, huh?
We're out. Explain your business, what you're looking for. Just let me know who you are. I'll run it by Andrew, and we're going to pick 10 people. Or if it's only 3 people, then guess what? Those 3 people are going to get all of our time, and it's going to bring a ton of value.
Lunch with Darren.
Yeah, we're
and
paying
Andrew.
for the whole thing.
And we're paying for
the whole
lunch.
thing.
And you're
Yeah.
paying for
And so
lunch.
that's on
Unbelievable.
Friday. That's on Friday.
Friday,
And basically,
yes.
you got about from 11:45 to about 1:15. So you got a
We can
good
get some
hour and
work
a
done.
half.
We can get some work
And
done.
then Andrew and I will be doing a SWAT talk. Is it at 1 p.m.? I think is the third
On
session.
Saturday.
Yep. SWAT
Yep.
talk on Saturday,
There's so much-
talking about creating in the image of our Creator God.
That's it.
So much. This is so
Fantastic.
many reasons to be at the
Darren
conference.
Doane
Well, this
at
is one of the things.
gmail.com.
We'll put it on the screen too. One of the things that I'm excited about is because we want this stuff happening at our conferences.
That's right.
We
That's
want
right.
businesses flourishing. We want to encourage
And by the way,
this kind of economic.
this
Here,
is
I'll stop the
happening-
music.
and hold on, this is happening too. My podcast just being on the Fight Laugh Feast network, I'm already making money on new clients.
Wow.
How much of that? How much?
Yeah, no,
did
we'll
you work
talk
out
later
of
on
that?
that. We'll talk later. I have to finish my
work out?
taxes. When I finish my taxes,
Okay.
I'll say
So we got 2 years.
We got 2 years.
2021, it will be there. But that's how powerful this network is, and just communicating.
Wow.
I
Thanks,
appreciate
Dean.
both you guys.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys
Thanks,
came.
Dean.
Nice to see you always.
Hit us up. We want to see you.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until next week, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. See you in Lebanon, Tennessee.
Yeah.
9th through 11th.
Yahoo.
This is Cross Politic. Do you know where you're going to be at September 9th through 11th? I do. You're going to be in Lebanon, Tennessee at the Fight, Laugh, Feast conference on the politics of sex.
Okay. All right. Well, do you know why you're going to be in Lebanon, Tennessee at the Politics of Sex Conference?
I just told you.
Country music center of the world.
No, because if we don't get God's design ordered rightly in our lives, male, female, family,
Marriage,
culture,
yeah.
marriage, the politics of sex, what we're talking about. If we don't get this right, well, we're going to get what we got right here, right now, in this culture, which is hell-bent on destroying itself.
Yeah,
You know why else you're going to go?
Why?
Vody's going to be there.
Hey!
David Bonson, Pastor Doug Wilson.
Yes.
You guys going to be there?
I'm going to
Yes.
be there.
Uncle Gary's going to be there. C.R. Wiley's going to be there. Ben Merkel's going to be there. Everybody.
That's more than Fab Five.
We got SWAT talks all day Saturday. I mean, everybody from the Fight Laugh Feast Network's going to be there.
Oh, and I'm looking forward to the psalm singing, the ruckus psalm singing, and the Holy Ghost speaking in tongues.
Whoa.
No?
We're not doing that?
No, we're not doing that.
Next conference.
Go to FLFnetwork.com, click on events, and register now. There's also a link down in the show notes. Just go down there, scroll down, find it. It's right around there somewhere. I think. Yeah.
What if we have a translator for the tongues?
No!